All right, we're back with another episode of Byron Scott's Fast Break. Kid J, Coach.
That's me.
Byron Scott, and our guy.
Our guy.
Hold on, I have a lot of stuff about our guy, okay?
Our guy.
This is our guy. Hall of Fame photographer for the NBA. Official photographer for the NBA. Shot for Major League Baseball, NHL. Has damn near every legendary photo of the LA Lakers. I'm talking about a living legend here, Andy Bernstein.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you, guys.
sir.
Thank you. The key word there is living, so thank you.
And on that note, Andy, while Kid J is getting into it, I got to have this stogie just in your honor.
Here we go.
To celebrate you
That's
being
it.
here
Thank you,
and
B.
for your legendary career.
So
I'm gonna go ahead and
Byron
fire it
is
up.
lighting
that
up Drew Estate cigars. So
It smells great, by the way.
yeah. This
Yeah.
is a new one, Byron.
The
This
smooth.
is a new one, yeah.
Okay, so you're going to give us your thoughts on this new one? Because you haven't had this one, right?
I haven't had this one, but I'm going to tell you something. It's smooth.
Mm-hmm.
I like mild cigars, not too heavy and not too, too strong. And this has a nice flavor to it. Very well wrapped. It's tight. You can see right now it's already, kind of burning evenly, which says a lot about the wrapping.
Yeah.
But Andy, I'm a connoisseur when it comes to this, boy, because I
Yeah.
do this on the golf course and in the backyard.
I've been with you on the golf
You
course.
remember me on the golf course.
I think the cigars are more important than
Yeah,
the
than-
clubs
Well,
that you
it
put
pretty
in.
much
ball.
is. When I'm getting ready for a golf tournament or the celebrity tournaments or just playing with my friends,
Yeah.
I got to pick out my stogies first.
I know.
And then I get rubbed.
I have seen it personally,
Yeah.
especially
when we were in Hawaii together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which we're gonna talk a little bit about that too.
Yes.
But I know
Yep.
I always like my man Kid J to kind of lead it off, and then we're gonna get into it.
Cool.
So, Andy, you were inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, but recently you were inducted in California Sports Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Two-part question. Which one means more to you, and what took California so goddamn long? What the hell?
Well, before those, I got inducted into the Southern California Jewish Sports Hall of Fame,
Okay.
which made my mom really happy.
There you go.
And then I was inducted into the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame, which made like the rest of the family happy. But the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame is kind of the end of the journey.
Yeah.
And I was only the second photographer recognized by the Hall of Fame. The first one being Rich Clarkson, who I think Rich shot 55 Final Fours or something. Very famous Sports Illustrated guy. So I'm the first NBA-centric photographer to be recognized, which is great. And I hope it opens up to more and more photographers because no offense to my friends who are writers and broadcasters, but, we're documentarians too.
Yeah.
And the game, a lot of people, hang our photos on the wall. They're not necessarily hanging like a story or something out of the newspaper. So, I was very happy to be recognized.
Speaking of Hall of Fame, before
Yeah.
we move on, before he asks his question, does he belong in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, is that even a question?
What's taking so long?
Well, I think, what's taken so long? It's a great question. I mean, all those championships, being part of the Showtime era, but
Coach of the Year.
Coach of the Year, exactly. But what Byron has contributed, on and off the court, but on the court especially, it's so great to see Coop go in as a sixth man, 5 championships. We were all there to celebrate it.
Yes.
But I think this gentleman is next, in my opinion. If I had a vote, which I don't, I have a vote on the media side, but I don't have a vote on the player side.
Well, Andy, I appreciate that. I appreciate the love. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you.
We're going to get to you.
No,
for
we don't
me,
talk
though.
about you. Wait. Don't get it twisted.
Don't get it twisted. Okay.
Yeah, he gonna talk.
Andy got dirt on me. He got dirt on me
We
in
got
photos.
photographic evidence.
Yeah, he got dirt on me in photos. That's for sure. So, Andy,
Yes, sir.
the biggest photo that you've ever taken, and when or where was it published?
Oh, great question, man. Well, probably my most important photo, and if I like to say, if I'm remembered for one picture in my entire life, years from now, and they say, oh, he took that picture, it would be Michael Jordan holding the trophy, 91,
That's where
first
he played
championship with
accordion
his dad next to him. Michael's crying his eyeballs out.
I remember
It was
that,
just such a moment. And at the time, it was important. It took him 7 years to get there. We didn't, obviously, none of us knew there were going to be 5 more after that.
Right.
We didn't know his dad was going to get murdered.
Right.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that the photo would become iconic, which iconic usually is just a measure of time. So at the time, it was an important picture, which is interesting because I'm kind of known as sort of the action guy. You know, people remember the dunks and they remember the 3-pointers and all the stuff on the court. But they, you know, I pride myself in being a photojournalist. So anything off the court or a photojournalistic moment like that, or Kobe in ice, for example, a lot of people remember that photo. So that would be the one, pretty much, Jay.
So that was on Sports Illustrated cover?
Oh man, what was that? I was on a whole bunch of
Sporting
stuff.
News?
Yeah, all over the place.
It was everywhere.
Yeah.
When you take a picture like that, Andy, do you know at that time, like when we won the back-to-back, we knew we would be iconic as a team. But when you take pictures like that, do you know that picture is going to be an iconic picture at that moment?
Well, I knew it was important, and I knew that if I didn't take it, I'd be in deep trouble. But I set myself up to succeed in that moment, and you know, I know I'm preaching to the choir. You guys have known each other. We've known each other for a long time, and I see how everybody prepares for their particular role as part of a team or an organization or what have you. You know, I went into that locker room. The Bulls were whooping it up in the visiting locker room at the Forum. As we remember, it was smaller than it was about a third of the size of this room we're in that right now. It was chaos.
Yes.
And
I was there.
Yeah, and the network, you were there, and the network in all their wisdom decides to do the trophy presentation live from like this crazy little stage they made in the corner. All hell's breaking loose in there, and I can't see anything. And I was the first one in, so I got the champagne flying. Everybody and their mother came in, all the media, everything. And so I had to jump up on the bridge table where they kept the gum and the tickets and everything so I could see.
Right.
And they did the trophy presentation, and then they went to commercial. And then after commercial, they wanted to grab Michael to do a one-on-one. And they're coming back from commercial, and there's no Michael. He had taken off. And something in my head and chaos going on. Something in my head said, look to your left. And literally like where you are, there he is, like a little bit down from where I was standing with the trophy, with his dad, having his moment. And it was unbelievable. I shot boom, boom. And then I think somebody grabbed him. And that was the end of that. Wow. And then if you watch The Last Dance, they did almost a full episode about that moment.
Yeah.
Which is really bizarre because they zoomed in on the ball of the trophy. And you could see the flash and like a little bit of me.
Silhouette.
As I took that picture, you can see it in the ball of the trophy. It was like surreal to watch that. Yeah.
By the way, I had to pick up that gum and the tickets that you kicked off to the side, so thank you.
But you know,
you made me work, Andy, that night.
It was probably soaked by the end of that day.
For real. So on a shot like that, I know you like you said, you turned left and you just caught the perfect moment. But, you know, were there other people like photographers around trying to encompass that same shot?
No, because it was so packed with people. Like, I don't know how he got from the little stage to there. It was a locker. Somehow he did.
Yeah.
He just escaped with it. He like literally took the trophy from Jerry Reinsdorf and like went over there. It was crazy. And there were a couple of writers over there and family members. I remember Michael's wife was there, his mom was there, and of course his dad next to him. Yeah, it was a pretty amazing moment.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Now you've done a couple of books as well.
Mm-hmm.
You've done Phil Jackson, Kobe Bryant, two iconic guys as well in their fields. Kobe obviously on the basketball court, Phil obviously as a coach. Which one was the most memorable? Oh,
man, both of them were great, Byron. I mean, working with Phil, Phil was pretty much hands-off. I mean, I approached Phil, so this is how this came down. The Lakers win the championship in 2009. Phil announces at the podium that this is next year, 9-10, is going to be his last year coaching. Mm-hmm. So during the summer, I'm thinking about it, and I send him an email. I say, Coach, I would love to be able to document your final season from beginning to end, And he's like, okay, that sounds good. I said, I have a publisher. It's called Time Capsule Press, and they're willing to do it if you're willing to write the captions. We need your involvement. Very little ask from him. He just needed to sort of write captions for the beginnings of the chapters and stuff. So he, so he said, okay, and it sounds great. He says, but I'm just going to tell you this: be careful what you wish for. It's a typical Phil Jackson comment. So, okay, I don't know what that means. So we meet before training camp, and he and I had decided we wanted to do it all in black and white, get back to my photojournalistic roots, and the publisher was cool with that. Phil actually was a fledgling photographer when he was with the Knicks. The Knicks photographer, George Kalinsky, had given him a camera when he was injured in '73. Phil was taking pictures behind the scenes. I didn't know this. Phil and George actually published a book together from that championship season. Yeah, so bizarre. So we decided to do it in black and white, and I start shooting media day, first day the team is together, first couple of games, first road trip. And I'm like 3 weeks into this thing, and I'm looking at my film, and I'm just thinking, I mean, every day is the same thing. This guy does the same thing every single day. And it was interesting, like the first 3 days, but I can't imagine like 8 months of this, right? Yeah. And much less a book. So I go tail between my legs a little bit. And he said, Coach, I love you, man, but you ever change this up? He goes, nope. And there's so many shots of him in flip-flops, like during practice that you can take, right? And I said, well, we got a problem. He goes, I told you to be careful what you wish for. So in that moment, I thought, well, how about we do, since we have a publisher, right? And I can convince him, hopefully, to do this, do the journey of the team for the season. I went back to the publisher, and I thought they were going to say, well, if they don't win the championship, nobody's going to care. And the publisher was great. They said, you know what? Win, lose, draw. They make the playoffs. They don't make the playoffs. They're in the finals. They lose. They win. We don't really care. It's really the journey of the team because you have full access. And Phil allowed me to be embedded with the team. Mitch Kupchak, everyone in the Laker organization was great. And that's what we did. And so that was a super memorable experience. But then working with Kobe, who was very hands-on, not controlling, but he knew he had a vision for exactly what he wanted that book to look like. The Mamba Mentality book is divided into 2 parts, process and craft. And my job was to illustrate everything, all his wisdom, through my photos. So it was a daunting task because half of his career, as you know, was shot on film. Yep. The other half was digital. So I had to rely on editors back at the NBA office in New Jersey to literally find needles in the haystack because the guy had a photographic memory. I'll give you one quick story. I know you got other stuff to talk about, but you'll love this. I mean, we're talking about who his defensive nemesises were, who played him the best on defense. And, it got down to Bruce Bowen was the guy, the number one, Shane Battier and Raja Bell and all those other guys.
Tony
Allen. Tony Allen.
The Kobe stoppers.
But Bruce Bowen was the guy. And so he wants to write about how Bruce played him on defense and how Kobe, sort of read his mind and everything. So he says, you remember 2001 Western Conference Finals, Game 3, third quarter, I'm down the block. I give him the shoulder fake. I turn and I dunked on his ass. He goes, you have that picture, right? I'm like, yeah. Mr. Mamba, we'll find it. We did actually, we were probably 90% good on the photos that he wanted. And the ones that we couldn't find, he was able to kind of work with that.
I know Kobe is your guy. And Kobe really cared about you because I remember talking to him about that. We're going to come back to Kobe in a minute, but I want to take you back to your earlier days, back when he was a rookie.
Oh, boy.
Let's go back first.
That might be a sore subject, Mr. Scott and I.
So what year did you start your career in the NBA with the Lakers?
Well, my first year, I really didn't know which end was up, quite honestly. It was like 80, 81.
Okay.
I was just getting out of school. I had been an assistant for Sports Illustrated. I had was able to get some doors open for me through that, being an assistant. And the people at the Forum were great from top to bottom. Claire Rothman and Jeannie and Jerry and Mitch, everybody. Yeah. Well, it wasn't Mitch then, actually, but all the operations people. And I'm a Brooklyn guy. I was able to talk myself into a lot of things. And they're like, yeah, sure, kid, go and shoot some pictures. And the Forum and the Lakers and Kings had a longtime photographer, Wen Roberts, who you remember, who I respected dearly. And my biggest fear was stepping on his toes. So I didn't want to do anything like directly to kind of step on his toes, but I did align myself more with the NBA, who were looking to acquire more photography than just kind of the mundane photography they were getting, quite frankly, out of a couple of photographers. So that was pretty much it. I mean, the 82 finals was really my first full finals that I did. And I had a streak of 137 straight finals games that I did up until 2008, Game 6, and my daughter decided to be born that day, so I couldn't go to Boston for that, which is
so
fine.
You didn't miss it because of injury?
No,
like,
no.
You missed
it
because
birth.
of personal reason, and
Yeah,
no load
management.
No. Okay, all right.
No, but 40 NBA finals. So that's
it's an amazing career.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Byron's photo that he has beef about.
Oh boy, do I need to break that out? I mean, can I?
So
run out of
what
here
was
if I
it?
have to?
Was it 84 or 83? 84,
80,
I
I'm
believe.
not sure. I think it was 83, 84.
Yeah,
it might have been 84.
You'll be able to
85.
tell once we look
but
at
yeah,
it.
we
Let me
know
see
Andy
what I
brought
got
some
here.
photos.
I brought
Now,
some
these-
photos.
now-
Got to break them out.
Yeah, guys, these are a surprise to me. The only one that I'm thinking is not a surprise is this one that I was like, what the hell, Andy?
Well,
You know?
the setup to this whole thing is that the Lakers every year would do a team photo,
Yes.
right? And it's a standard team photo on the court. Dr. Buss would be in it. You know, the team photo that everybody sees. And Lon Rosen, our dear friend, was the marketing
our
director
man.
of the Lakers.
Yep.
And Lon was a visionary. He really was. And he said, look, we're doing this standard team photo, which when Roberts would always shoot. The Lakers actually asked me a few times to do it, and I turned it down. That was Wen's gig. But Lon said, you know, if we do a fun team photo, like a conceptual team photo, I can sell it to Denny's or Miller Lite or whoever it is, right? And so Coach Riley went along with it to an extent. And the first idea was to he didn't want to take the team out to the beach. So we had to bring the beach to the team.
Mm-hmm.
So we brought a beach setup
To the forum.
I'm really setting myself up for
Yeah,
this
go
one.
ahead there,
To
Andy.
the forum. So we had all these beach items. So, and you know, I'll give you guys these to show later. But so this is the photo. This is super early in my career.
Uh-huh.
He's a rookie.
Uh-huh.
And you see
Yeah.
the guys, you know, we have some items, beach towels and chairs and
Mhm.
palm trees. And Big Game James got a surfboard and sunglasses. And they're all looking at me like I'm nuts, by the way, because I'm this little guy with mustache, big afro, you know, or Jufro as I called it.
Jufro.
And we didn't know what to do with Byron, right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know, it'd be kind of fun if he's the rookie and he's like kind of peeking out. You know, he's kind of new to the league, he's like peeking out from behind the palm tree. Well, little did I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, fans,
Yeah.
find me in this picture.
Yeah.
Find me.
But that's the fun
and
part.
I'll wait because it's gonna take you a while.
So,
It's gonna take you a while to find me.
so I'm amazed that he's still friends with me after this picture. I don't know. But we've had a lot of fun with it. And this is the photo. And right there.
Yeah, that'd be me right there, peeking under the tree. Down
You
there
actually
under Kareem.
blend in with the tree.
I'm under Kareem's damn near
That's right.
armpit at the left side, but you can barely see me.
And Jack Curran looks like he's at a firing squad. Jack Curran was a trainer
That's
before
right. Jack Curran was
Gary.
a trainer before
Vitti.
that was Jack's last year.
Last
matter of
year,
fact.
that's right.
Matter of fact,
That
that
was
was his
Pat's
last
first year.
That's right.
Yeah, but you got Bertka and Dave Wohl. I mean, it's a really fun picture.
That's great.
And then, you know, there's a few other ones I could show too. But that's
since
up to
you have photos out now,
Yeah.
we might as well just get into it. Can
Yeah.
you tell us your top 5 photos, or do you have photos of Byron, or you have your top 5
Well,
photos of all time?
I mean, Byron had one of the sweetest jump shots ever.
So
Not
let's
in
get
that
into
era,
Byron.
but ever. And this is one of my favorite pictures of him.
There it is.
80, I believe it's 87 finals
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Boston Garden. He was a photographer's dream because a lot of guys, right, like Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, a lot of great, even Steph, the arms are in the face, you know, unless I can get a clean look straight on. And Byron, always great. Arms back, great touch. You know, I was able
Perfect
to.
That
release.
beautiful form.
Yeah.
That's over a friend of mine
Yeah.
too. That's Darren Day. He
Yeah,
played at
Darren
Kennedy
Day.
High School,
Darren Day.
and we played on the same AAU
Yeah.
team together.
Can you put that photo back up real quick?
Sure.
Just real quick. And show the
Yeah.
camera.
Okay. Here we go.
Notice Byron Scott's super small shorts.
Those shorts. I don't know how you guys.
All right, kid, Jay. See, there you
What's
go,
going on with
dog.
those shorts,
Small.
Why you wanna-
mediums.
Yeah.
Mediums.
And then
they were a little tight. I
this
ain't gonna
man,
lie.
this man was not afraid to go to the basket, as we know.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now something's going on in this picture. We've talked about this before.
Yeah, we have.
But
Chief was pissed too, because Chief was like calling for an offensive foul because I grabbed his arm and pulled it, which I did. I mean, that's a great shot because the referee called a foul, but he called it on Chief.
Yeah.
And I made the layup, and it was definitely offensive
were
foul.
you like pulling yourself up, like
A
doing
little bit, yeah.
pull-up?
I was pulling myself up and pulling his arm away so he couldn't block it at the same time.
Crazy picture though. I mean, you got Bird, McHale, Parrish,
great
Danny Ainge looking like
Great picture.
his cat
Yeah,
died or
I just
something
drove
in the
by
background.
his ass, so
So you were going up for a dunk, but you end up laying it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You couldn't quite get up. That's why you were
No,
pulling
I was
yourself
getting up, but I was trying to. But Chief was coming, and I knew if I kept
He's
going,
7 feet.
he was either going to block it or knock the shit out of me. It was going to be one of the two or both.
Yeah.
And I just felt, let me grab him and move him out the way a little bit and get a little bit more leverage and get up. And like I said, referee all of a sudden, called, foul on Chief. And when I heard the whistle, I swear I was going to hear offensive foul.
Oh, my
But
goodness.
I heard that, when the referee said count it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay, cool.
Now, when you see a picture like that, which is a number of years ago, do you remember the moment?
Yeah.
You really? Because I had
do.
this conversation with James Worthy, and he goes, I know exactly when that happened.
Yeah. I think most of the pictures that you took of us, Andy, all the pictures that I seen, I remember exactly what I did, what I said.
It's so fascinating.
You know what I
to me.
mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable, our memory on things like that.
Yeah.
But
Can't
that
remember our
picture-
kids' birthdays, but
Right,
we remember what happened on that
So-
play.
This basketball season, when your favorite stars score buckets, we're alley-ooping you an opportunity to win money from Watches Sports with our brand new partner, Underdog. Do you want an opportunity to win up 1,000 times of your money? Well, you can. All you got to do, download the Underdog app.
So Laker fans, I'm talking to you. Millions of fans already won billions making picks on underdogs. Their app has over 100,000 5-star reviews and millions of players.
Okay.
I'm going with the Boston Celtics, my man Jason Tatum. Love you, Jason, but I'm going down on everything with Jason Tatum this week.
Wow.
I just think right now he's going to be a little bit of a funk getting ready for playoffs, so I'm going down on everything Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics.
You heard it right here.
Jay, I can't mess this up.
Come.
I got to read this verbatim.
All right.
Download the Underdog app and sign up now using the promo code FASTBREAK to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash.
Okay.
When you make your first deposit, join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code FASTBREAK.
And you also must be 18 years or older in order to play and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org in Arizona. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. If you're in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line. That's 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. HOPE-NY.
I'm going to ask you this, Andy, because you sit literally right next to the basket. I mean, you're in the best seat in the house for all these NBA games. Do you hear him talking shit in the 80s? I mean, because they talk shit.
I don't. I remember Byron and James and Magic and Coop. I remember those guys. I don't remember them talking shit to the other team.
See, that's
I honestly
the thing.
don't.
We would talk shit to each other.
Yeah.
To get each other fired up.
Yeah.
I mean, a great story about that is Vernon Maxwell, who I love. Vernon Maxwell was one of the
Rockets.
Yeah, but he was such a competitor,
Yeah.
right? And he was guarding Magic one game in Houston.
Yeah.
And he said basically, on the court, I don't need no help. I got him, right? And so for 3 quarters, Magic was just playing. In the 4th quarter, Magic, because me and Coop was like, hey, man, fucking Vernon said he got you. What you talking about? He was like, no, okay, it's cool. 4th quarter, Magic started going to work.
Yeah.
And Vernon Maxwell yelled out, man, come on, help, the double team. First time I ever seen Magic turn around and said, no, you said you don't need help. And then, me and Coop, bust his ass.
Oh, that's so funny.
But we would only talk shit to each other. We never talked to the other guys on the team.
Yeah.
We would just talk shit to each other to get each other hyped up to go after guys that were guarding us.
Yeah, it's true because Coop talks about Bird talking shit to him.
Yeah.
And he just would never give it back.
Yeah.
Never give it back. Just
kept
Just
playing
go out
ball.
there and just play.
They just stayed in Bird's ass.
So
Yeah,
who
that's
did
true.
you hear on the court was the biggest shit talker in all your 40 years shooting?
Got to be Gary Payton.
Oh,
Followed
GP.
very closely.
Yep, the glove.
Very closely by Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
And those two guys together on the court, forget about it. But GP, Sam Cassell.
Yeah.
Do you remember the craziest thing you've ever heard? And what was it? And who said it?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well,
that is
Pat
good.
Riley.
That's a damn good one.
Was Pat Riley guaranteeing the back-to-back. That was the craziest thing to this day that I ever heard. And then remember the next year, Kareem stuffed the towel in his mouth.
Andy, that was the craziest thing we ever heard.
Oh, my
Because we were celebrating.
Yes, and he's already. Yeah.
And but and as you know, Rouse was so, again, another visionary. Rouse understood that we needed another challenge because every year that we won the championship, we lost the next year, and he was like, "Well, what the hell?" So if I guarantee it, I'm gonna really put it on their minds. So he was very methodical in his thinking.
Yeah.
And when he did that, man, we were on the stage. I mean, if you could take a picture of, or like the video was, if you shot us when he said that, kid, it was like, we were all like this. And then he said, and I guarantee you, we're going to win it again. We win.
Yeah.
What did he just say?
Can we just enjoy this?
Yeah, we were like, can we just enjoy this?
Yeah.
What did he just? But what he did is like, within a week or two, I went to the track, I'm running, and I see Magic out there.
Yeah.
I see Cooper. He put it in our mind to get ready, to win that thing again. And like you said, it came to fruition that we were able to win it. And when I think it was Brett Musburger who came up and said, so coach, you want a guarantee next year? And Cap said, hell no. He stuffed the towel in his mouth. And that was beautiful.
That was
and it's documented that
classic.
second one is the hardest one you guys
Without
had
a doubt.
to.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Because it was, it was best of 5 in the first series. And we won 3 straight against Denver, I think. And then we went 7-7-7, to win the championship against Detroit. And we came home down 3-2.
Right.
Yeah.
We had to win those last 2 home games to win it.
Yeah.
7-7-7. That was crazy.
So, Andy, what other photos do you have? Now, let me ask you, do you have your all-time top favorite photos of all time?
Not with me.
Not with you.
But I can
you know
send
what
them
they
to
are,
you.
though?
If you could tell us, like top 5.
Well, the MJ one, obviously. Gotta be one.
Yep.
Kobe and Ice from the from that year. I was embedded with the team for the book with Phil. There's a couple of Shaq dunks that were pretty good. A couple of young Mamba dunks from the Forum days. Those reverses, breakaways that were just ridiculous. Michael Jordan taking off from the free throw line, the '88 dunk contest,
the All-Star game.
There was 1 or 2 from the Olympics, from the '92 Dream Team, of course. Yeah, I got to spend all 7 weeks with the Dream Team, so behind the scenes with them. There's one shot of I think it was Magic, Charles, Michael. I think Larry might be in the picture, yucking it up on the bus. Which, again, a photojournalistic moment, but it's just such a moment with these guys, and being in the locker room with them. Game 7 of the 2010 finals, Phil, during that season that I was doing the book, Phil let me into the locker room for the pregame speech, which he didn't let anybody
Not
ever.
a soul.
In a game 7, he said, Andy, you literally have like 8 seconds. And I'm going to get yourself in position. So I was in the very first locker by the hallway going out. And then I forgot whose locker that was. Could have been, I'm not sure whose locker that was, but I was just crunched down. And he walks in and he says something. The eyebrow goes up like this. And I knew when the eyebrow went up with Phil that I'm out.
Time to leave.
No matter where we were, that eyebrow went up. It was like time for Andy to go.
Yeah.
But I got the photo and we ran it in the book, and it was, it was monumental because they went out literally 30 seconds later, started the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great one. Well, Andy, we know you got some more pictures, so we want you to go through a few more
All right,
pictures
go through
before
a
I
couple
ask
more.
my next question. That's for sure.
So this one,
because I'm kind of anxious to see what the hell you brought too.
well, this one's really interesting, and I don't know if you'll remember this. Do you remember us taking this picture?
I do.
So
You
back
and
in the day, and this is true, the NBA would have to shoot the players wearing the merchandise of thinking they were going to win the championship.
Yeah.
And it was the Celtics and Lakers. So I don't know who the Celtic players were, but I was asked to shoot Byron and Coop wearing this stuff before they won
they
the
even won
finals.
it.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked the Lakers let you guys do that. Honestly, that Riles especially. But
that didn't happen later on. I could tell you that.
It was so bizarre to do that. And I ended up getting a hat from the '87 Celtics, because they had to print the hat.
They had to,
So
I got that picture at home, Andy, blown up.
It's fun.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
in my
fun
office.
picture. But this one is, I know, and there's something that you love, B. I'll show you. I'll show that right now. Well, I wanted to show a couple with Kobe, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
So I couldn't find a picture of you guys playing together, but I have this one of Byron coaching against Kobe in the finals when you were the Nets coach.
Yeah.
Right? Trying to figure
Byron
out.
was very pissed at NBA finals, by the way.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out.
Well, I mean, we got swept. So, yeah, I was a little pissed off.
But you're just thinking, how am I going to stop this guy?
No, that's the only thing. I mean, 90% of the time I was standing over there going, how the hell are we going to stop Shaq and Kobe?
Right.
I said, we have no chance.
Yeah.
We did a decent job on Kobe.
You did.
You know, with Kerry Kittles and some of the guys that we had that can guard him, but you can't stop him.
Yeah.
But we had no answer for Shaq.
Yeah.
It was just nothing we could do for Shaq.
What are you going to do? Yeah. So I felt for you during that series.
I appreciate
and
that.
then,
Andy.
of course, coaching
I
him.
love
Yes.
that.
Right? That was from his last
That's
last
an
season.
amazing photo. Byron, do you
I
have
love
that?
this picture.
I do.
Okay,
I love
I
this
sure
picture.
do.
Yeah.
I have that picture at home.
They had this one hanging in the locker room.
Yeah.
Remember? But then we had some fun, right? I'll show
We had
this
lots
one.
of fun, Andy.
Well,
what are you talking about?
No, but you'll
Oh,
remember
yeah.
this one.
Yes.
And I brought this
It's an
one for a
iconic photo.
reason because photographers no basically is don't shoot backs. Like unless it tells a story, and I tell this to young photographers all the time, I don't want to see any backs ever. Okay? Unless like it's a free throw and the other side is going to win a game or whatever it is. But you just cannot replicate. I mean, from the front, it probably looked pretty good too, but I happened to get the back. So then we're at the reunion, and what did we do? We replicated it.
I love it.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't my idea, actually. I think it might have been your idea, or Coop's idea.
No, you know who? It was Cece.
Oh, was it really?
It was my wife's
Was it?
idea to do that.
I love
That's
that.
You gotta
cool.
do that. You know,
Yeah,
that
so I'll
same
put
picture,
them- you
because
guys-
that picture I have that at home. The
Put them
one of
both
us
up there.
right there, the Three Musketeers, as we
Yeah.
called ourselves back in those
Musketeers.
days. And my wife was the one that suggested that we do that same type of picture in Hawaii.
That
You
was
guys
really
are a
meaningful.
little bit further apart this time. A
Yeah,
little bit wider.
a little bit bigger. Yeah, we gained a few
Shorts a
lbs.
little longer, yeah.
Shorts a little bit longer. We gained a few lbs at that time. So yeah, it was a little bit bigger.
By the way, at that reunion, he was the only one who could make a shot.
There you go. Rouse was was running our plays that we ran back in the day, and Rouse said, "What happened to you guys?" I was like, we
got
moved a
old."
little slower, couldn't jump as high,
Yeah.
but I was making shots.
He was
There
making
you
shots.
go.
That's
You
all
were.
that counts.
Suit
Now,
'em
you
up.
showed a picture. You showed a picture of one of our favorites.
Yeah.
Of me coaching against Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Give us one of your favorite moments, because you got stories with Kobe.
Yeah.
as
Oh,
well. I mean,
man.
you got years, 20 years plus, 20 plus years with Kobe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know him about as well as any photographer would ever know him, and he let you in, so he knows you. You guys have a personal relationship.
Mhm.
So give us a Kobe story that you could tell the fans.
Well, the moment I met him the first time, he's 1996 Media Day.
Yeah.
And you guys probably have heard this story before, but I love just telling this story. And his first time when the team comes out in uniform to meet the media, it's the first day of training camp. And there was a little bit of hype about Kobe, but nobody really knew who this kid was from Philadelphia that they had, literally traded a beloved player for Vlade
Divac,
to get him. And I think everybody just sort of trusted Jerry West's instincts, but nobody I knew had ever seen him play.
Right.
So anyway, the team comes out, and there's all these stations at Media Day, as you guys remember.
Yep.
And so he gets to my NBA photo station. I got to take his headshot. And like any young kid, young player, a traded player, a guy I don't know, I will go in before picking up the camera. I'll introduce myself. I'll be respectful and put my hand out. I say, "Hey, Kobe, I'm Andy Bernstein, your team photography." He goes, "I know who you are, man." It's like, and I'm thinking this smart ass kid. I mean, really, this is the first thing that went through my head. I mean, you say that to somebody, and I looked at him. He's still holding my hand, and he says, "Well," I said, "How's that possible? Because we never met." And he says, "Well, I had all your posters in my room growing up."
That's cool.
And for an 18-year-old kid to first of all say that, but then I started thinking, who the hell looks at photo credits on a poster?
Yeah.
Only other photographers. Because like if you got a poster of Magic or I got a poster of Jordan, I'm jealous of you, you're jealous of me because we wanted our photos to be poster. But he studied every single dot on those posters. And not because, and I found out that much later, in fact, when we started doing our book together, that he wasn't putting posters up because they were nice pictures. He was studying everything that's going on in that poster. You know, if it's a Michael Jordan poster, it's, you know, where are his hips and what does his muscle tone look like, and what's he looking at, and where are his legs in relation to, you know, his body and body language and everything else. It was just mind blowing to me.
Wow.
Yeah,
He was amazing.
he was amazing. It was just, and then he started asking me for print, like about, I mean, 7-8 years in, he started asking me for prints of what he called his muses. So guys that you know, like Isaiah Thomas and Dominique Wilkins and some players like that were sort of B-level players I hadn't heard of really much. And he wanted prints of them to hang in his locker, and he would sit there and look at them. And you probably remember this,
Yeah.
that he'd sit on his little stool
Yep.
and study these pictures, because then he's going to go out and try to emulate. them.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Andy. Man, God, he's taking us down to a place where I'm going to do something we've never done before on the podcast. So I came up with 5 iconic moments in Laker history.
Mm.
So I want you to tell me where you were and what it took to be in position to get these great shots during these iconic moments.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready.
Magic Johnson breaking the assist record.
Oh, you got to refresh my memory. I don't remember where that was.
It was in the form.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can tell you who he passed it to.
It was in the form.
Really? I
yeah.
don't remember it. Honestly, I don't
Magic
remember
Johnson,
it.
when he broke the record.
Who held the record before him, by the way? I
Um,
don't even know.
No, it was
Was it Bob
John
Cousy
Stockton.
or somebody?
no, John Stockton
It wasn't-
broke his
oh,
record.
John Stockton
John
broke his
Stockton's
record.
the leader now.
Yeah.
But when Magic broke the record, I wanted to say it was the Big O, but I'm
It
not
might have been
sure.
Big O or Cousy or one of those guys.
Yeah,
right?
I wanted to say Big O, but I remember this like sitting on the bench watching it because the pass he made that broke the record was to Oscar Robertson. Yep, the Big O was to Terry Teagles,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I
I
was
don't-
pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was pissed. I was like, wait a minute. Terry just got on the damn team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, you should have been, it should have been me or James.
Yeah.
You
I wanna
know,
be part of
or
history.
one of the guys who've been with you for a long time. He threw it to Terry Teagles, who knocked down the shot to
Yeah.
break the
that's
record.
funny.
And they stopped the game, obviously. And
Now I
gave him the
remember.
ball. Yeah, they
Yes,
gave him the
but-
ball and everything.
yeah.
But the pass was to Terry
That's
Teagles.
right. That's right. That was a big moment in Laker history. I'm sorry, my brain is a little, you know,
It's
I got
okay.
old guy brain disease.
We're not off to a good start, but hold up. We'll hopefully
We'll
get
get there.
we'll get these next 4. Game 7, 2010 NBA Finals.
So I told you about the first, the pregame speech, and then the team going out there. And I remember Kobe having a pretty horrific game.
Yeah, he
I mean,
didn't have a
could
great
not
game.
hit.
Mhm.
He had
My
to do
dad
with some
used
other
to say he
things.
couldn't piss in the ocean or whatever that was,
Yeah.
you know. And to his credit, he started passing and rebounding. And then, you know, when our good friend Ron Artest, he was Ron Artest then,
At the
right?
time.
Yeah.
Gets the ball at the top, top of the three-point
Knocks
line.
that down.
And we're all thinking, no!
So was Kobe. Don't shoot
And then
pass
he
it.
made it, and the place went bananas.
Yeah.
Where
And
were you?
I ran out there because it was on the other side of the court from me.
Yeah.
So I just beelined, and by the time I got there, he was mobbed.
Yeah.
And Kobe was the first guy to grab him.
Yeah,
He's got him
that's
in
right.
like a chokehold, basically. But that was a wonderful moment. And then that entire game was just fantastic, and the celebration, and then the parade afterwards, and the whole thing was great.
Okay.
I think before you get to the next one on that list, you said how Kobe was the first one to grab him. I think he was grabbing him, saying, "You better have made that fucking shot. I was gonna trip this."
Yeah.
You should have passed it back to me, but you better have made it. I think that's what it was, a hug celebration, but a little bit of a choke as well. Yeah.
It was amazing. And you know how great Powell played in that
Oh, yeah.
series,
It's
but in that
amazing.
game, I don't think they would have won that game without Powell's
Oh, no, they wouldn't.
determination.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't.
And his rebounding was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He had a couple of great putbacks, as you remember, and it was amazing.
Okay, next one. Kobe's 81-point game.
I was in my car.
Really? You wasn't at the game?
Yeah, this is a crazy story. So, as we know, in the day, the Lakers shared the arena with the Clippers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a doubleheader on a Sunday.
Yep.
I was a single dad at the time. My kids were little, and that was my custodial weekend with my kids, right? So my boss at the NBA Photos, and I, we look at the schedule a month ahead, and we see that Sunday's coming up, and the Clippers were playing. I forgot who they were playing that day, But we were looking at the matchup. Lakers are playing Toronto, who were not very good.
Right.
And the Clippers, actually, I think they played Dallas, or a pretty decent team. Plus, I had to figure out what to do with my kids.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we chose, I'm going to do the early game. So I'll do the early game. I had a babysitter, went home, picked up my kids. We drove to Laguna Beach. At that point, I was living in Pasadena. Drove all the way to Laguna Beach to visit a cousin and spending the day there. And driving back, it was early. The game was a 6:30 game.
Yep.
Probably around 8:30-ish, and we're driving back on I-5, and I turn on the game, and I'm listening, and it's Paul Sunderland, as you remember, because it was so crazy. And Kobe's got whatever he's got, 60 in the third quarter, or 60 to end the third quarter, whatever it was. And the game was close.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, I'm driving up 5, and I'm seeing downtown over here, 2 kids are in car seats behind me. And I'm thinking, do I make a left and take the 4th Street Bridge and drive down the ramp and throw the keys? I mean, I literally was thinking this craziness in my head. I knew the valet parking guys. He was just watch the kids and watch the car.
Watch
run
the
in.
kids.
I'm serious, man. And I thought better of that. And I drove home, and we literally caught the last maybe 30 seconds of the game. And his 80th and 81st point, I think, were free throws.
Free throws.
Mm-hmm.
And we watched that. So I was it's kind of bummed a little bit, but, I was doing what I had planned to do. And it was with my kids. And we shared the moment together. My kids were great. Don't you wish you were there, Daddy? I said, no, I'm here. I'm here with you and sharing it with you guys. Right?
You didn't want to tell the truth, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, I wish I was. No,
So I almost dropped y'all off with the valet.
Yeah. Seriously. So fast forward, next game's on a Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
And I'm out there on the court, and Kobe never, I don't think maybe 5 times in the whole time I photographed him, did he ever stretch on the court before the game. The team comes out for the pregame warm-ups, and some of the guys are stretching and they're running and doing their, whatever physiology stuff. He never did that. He'd come out, he'd do the layup lines, and then he'd meditate a little bit. He's stretching, he's on the floor stretching, and somehow I'm trying to avoid him. And he catches my eye, I'm by center court, he's over there, and he just gives me one of these like this, come over here. And he goes, he looks up, and he's down there and I'm up here. He looks up, he goes, weren't here the other night, were you? And I said, and I had to think for a second. I said, no, but when you score 101 and it's actually news, I'll be there. And he laughed.
I was about to say, I know that got a crack out of him right there.
He loved it.
All right, let me throw another one at you. LeBron James breaking Kareem's scoring record.
Well, backstory to that is that I was there in '84 when Kareem broke Wilt's record, happened to be in Las Vegas, little known fact. But the Utah Jazz, who were the home team, played, I think, 8 or 10 games as home games in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
They were trying to open up their market a little bit. So the NBA sent me out there to document that moment. And fast forward, 40 years, right?
Yeah.
LeBron breaks Kareem's record. I was the only media member that night in Crypto.com Arena who had been to both events.
Wow,
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
You remember how many points he needed in Vegas, Andy? Because I do.
I don't remember. It was 22, maybe?
21.
Yeah, okay.
Which was crazy because we're in Vegas.
Yeah.
He needs 21 points.
To break or to
the
tie?
record. To break it.
Break it, yeah.
Yeah, 20
Y'all
to
were
tie.
feeding him
Yeah.
too, right? Y'all was feeding him?
Yeah, and Magic made it a point. He was like, I'm passing the ball to Cat when he breaks the record, right? And he did. He threw it to him on the right side of the box.
Yeah.
And Kareem turned. Matter of fact, I mean, again, I see it like yesterday.
Yeah.
Ricky Green,
Yeah.
who was a point guard at Utah at the time, this is before Stockton got there, came down to double Cap, and Cap, stopped, and then he took off. He just turned baseline.
Yeah, he went
Bam.
deep baseline.
Yeah, baseline about 16, 17 feet.
Killed
Bam.
me. He was almost behind the backboard. And it killed me because I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
I was on the other side of the basket stanchion, on that side of the court, but he went so deep and there were too many players in the way. I didn't get a picture of it, unfortunately. Yeah. But I did get, they stopped the game and David Stern was there, who had just become commissioner.
Yeah.
And Kareem's parents were there.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful moment.
Yeah,
the guys all hugged him. It was really, And the post-game press conference, it might have been the first time I ever saw him smile. I mean, honestly, I'm not exaggerating.
No,
I mean, he was happy and gratified.
Yeah.
And then a few days later at the home game at the Forum, Wilt sort of passed very reluctantly, as you remember, passed the torch and the ball to Kareem.
What a great moment.
Yeah.
Laker history.
Wilt wasn't a big fan of the captain.
Well,
they had a little bit of a beef.
Yeah. Plus, he loved his place in history.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a beef.
Yeah. That goes back way back.
Yeah, and Wilt came out there like Wilt Chamberlain would, in Wilt Chamberlain fashion. He had on all black.
Yeah.
But the black shirt he had was a tank top.
Tank top.
That's right. To show his muscles and everything. Yeah. And he, like you said, reluctantly kind of just like, here you go.
Yeah.
Turned it over.
Yeah.
Like conversely, how Cap was so gracious to LeBron.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful passing of the torch, as I remember, from Cap to LeBron. That was really nice.
That's awesome. One more, and then I'm gonna hit you with a bonus one. Kobe's final game. 60 points.
One of the greatest, probably the greatest day in my career, honestly, from start to finish. I had asked him if I could document his entire day. And his day starts literally at his office at 7:00 in the morning. And so he said yes, his team said yes. And I got down to Newport to his office. I was there, I think at 7:30. He was already in his office, like having meetings with his group, like as any other day. And so I'm shooting away and everything, and a couple hours go by, and then he goes, time to go. And we jump in the SUV and go to the airport, and there's the helicopter, and jump in the helicopter. And Nike had wrapped the helicopter with all, the Mamba, Kobe Nike stuff, and flew up to LA. It's about 18-minute flight, and he fell fast asleep.
For 18 minutes.
His heartbeat was like, meanwhile, I'm, just frantic in the whole, I just didn't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
And land on this helipad a few blocks from Crypto, on the top of a big building, come down the elevator, and all these people were waiting for him because they knew his routine. And he was very gracious, get in the car, and he's in the front seat, passenger seat. I'm in the back seat, and his film camera guy was next to me, Tony. And it's the only time Kobe, in our entire time together, I probably shot 1 million pictures of him, that he ever told me not to shoot in the moment, was when we turned the corner on 11th Street, and he could see everything laid out at Staples Center, all the giant posters and thank you, Kobe, and every single person wearing a Kobe Bryant jersey. And he was literally, he just lost his breath.
Yeah, he was moved.
And so I went from the back seat. I tried to get that through the windshield with him, and he goes, "No, man, I got to take this in. Give me a second." And it was beautiful. And then, coming into the arena is the first time I had ever seen the media give a standing ovation to an athlete ever in my career in any sport.
Awesome.
Was his press conference before the game. And he got up, he did the press conference, and everyone stood up in unison and clapped for him. And then the game was so magical.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the corner, and I usually sit in the corner, so it's a kind of a weird place to shoot, but just watching him drain those threes, and the guy couldn't even get off the ground in the fourth quarter, and they were still guarding him.
Yeah.
And Byron kept playing him.
Yeah.
Oh, I told him in the second half, I said, "You're not coming out."
Yeah.
So,
well, I forgot about the pregame speech, and you tried to treat it like a normal game, but everyone knew it wasn't a normal game. And you were so gracious to me to allow me in there to sort of document that whole thing, and the post game too, which was beautiful. And I remember you guys had a great moment in the training room with Gary before the game, and
that's cool.
And he looked a little nervous to me, a little bit.
I think Andy, for the first time, I think he was.
Yeah,
because we had gone through that year where he finally announced that he was retiring.
Yeah,
and he told me in Portland.
Yeah.
When I take him out the game, and I was like, "Look, if we get this down to single digits," because we was down like 14, 15. I said, "We get this to single digits, I'm bringing you back in."
Yeah.
And he was like, "B, it doesn't matter. It's all good. I'm gonna retire after this season." I said, "Wait, what? Wait a minute. You gonna tell me this now during the game?" And he just started laughing. Right? He just walked to the bench. And so while the game is going on, I'm sitting here going, "What the fuck did Kobe just tell me?" And I knew it was a possibility, but he was keeping it so close to the vest.
Crazy.
So after the game, I called him in my office. I said, "KB, what did you just say?" And he just started laughing. He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna retire." But he said, "You're the first person I've told."
Wow.
And he said, so if you could, don't say. I said, no. I said, KB, you know me. That's not my place. You announce it when you're ready to announce it. So he waited another week before he said, this is my last year. And then they, everybody started giving him the kind of the farewell tour.
Yeah.
Going on. So that last game in the locker room with me and Vidi and Kobe in the training room was special because we was like, this is it.
Yeah.
I said, I did my job. I got you to game 82, relatively healthy.
Yes.
And that's what I told you when I took over this job. My job for you, obviously I got to develop these young guys, but my job for you, I said, that's why I'm cutting your minutes. And, everybody was talking about, well, he gonna have, he gonna have a problem with that. Mitch and everybody, he expects to play 40 minutes. I said, he can't.
Yeah.
I said, he can't.
Yeah.
I said, so, our first meeting, our first major meeting was like, Kobe, this is what I'm thinking. These next 2 years with you, you got to play about 30, 32 minutes. That's it. And I got to do this. And he's like, Coach, no, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what? He's like, okay. Because I'm expecting some pushback,
where
we're going to have to get into it a little bit.
Yeah.
He's like, no, okay.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay. All right. So that's the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
All right. I was like, we good.
Yeah.
But got to 82, relatively healthy. And like you said, I think he was nervous too when we were talking because he started the game off like 0 for 6.
Oh, yeah. No,
he
was
couldn't
tight.
hit a shot.
He was tight. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tell.
I was like, and
No,
me standing there, I'm
pushing.
going, this is not the way I want him to go out.
Yeah. None of us did. Yeah.
And he finally got a foul or something. He got 2 free throws and then the dam just opened.
Yeah.
And then he went off and the rest is history.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then the most important thing to me was to get the final picture to bookend his career. The first picture in a Laker uniform was that media day headshot. And then the last picture in a Laker uniform had to be him walking off the court, waving, hopefully.
Yeah.
And so I was just sweating bullets. So how am I going to get this? And he can only go off the court one way.
Yeah.
And that's that really tight bomb to get to the Laker locker room. So we had set up remote cameras. I had photographers, 3 photographers in strategic places to shoot from an overhead, but I had to get the picture.
Right.
Just like
absolutely.
you had to, feed the ball, right?
Yeah.
I had to get the picture. So, so I'm following it off, and the security guy, God bless him, guy named Brian, love the guy, but he's a big guy, and he's just blocking me the whole way. And I'm just like, Brian, get out of the way. Using very colorful language.
Yeah.
I didn't touch him, but I was super close. And finally, just like the Red Sea parted for a second, and I got him waving, and the expression on his face, another one of my favorite pictures ever, is this mixture of relief, I don't know, nervousness, but job well done. It was this whole kind of cornucopia of emotions. Is a beautiful thing. Plus, it says 24 in the back, and the confetti's falling down. So it was a great moment. And the great Jonas Never painted a beautiful mural of that photo, which is outside my office, which I look at every single day.
Wow. Wow. That's great.
So, Andy, I got a little beef with you.
Uh-oh.
I thought you said you had a bonus question.
Yeah.
Is that
that's
it?
me. Bonus beef.
Oh, the bonus one is
Bonus beef. Beef
okay,
bonus.
The beef? Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. When there was iconic moments in Laker history, I was trying to be a part of it.
I ain't mad at you.
Yeah,
kid,
there's
I ain't
a
mad
few
at
out there that you still might see today. I remember. I can't remember. I want to say it was the Robert Horry
shot against Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Yeah.
I want to believe it was that one. But I was super excited. I was out there celebrating with the players and the team, and I believe you came out on the court and you're shooting, and you grabbed me and said, "Get the fuck out the way."
That does sound like me.
The fuck out the way. I turned back and like, yeah. Oh shit.
I'm sorry about that, kid Jay. This many years later, but I did say that to Manny, and I said it to Bodakin, and all you guys were always in the
out the
freaking
way.
way, man.
Thank you for watching Byron Scott's Fast Break. If you like what you saw, here's some more videos. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.